So Jefferson talks about political gossip. The next chapter will not be a surprise. Basically, Alexander Hamilton talking about dueling. Not surprising at all. It's pretty much the most famous thing he did was duel and die. And essentially, the chapter on dueling is titled Dueling as Politics. Because when I really began to look at national politicians and how they were dueling with each other, when were duels breaking out, who challenged who and why, what did the timing have to do with elections, I discovered, surprisingly, that most political duels between national politicians broke out just after an election. It wasn't what I expected. I thought in all the flurry of preparing for an election, people would insult each other and there'd be dueling all over the place. But no, actually after elections, usually the person who lost or one of his particular friends, their words, would challenge either the winner or one of the winner's particular friends. And essentially what they were doing was their reputation was smashed. They felt dishonored at losing an election, a democratic election. So to redeem their reputations, they used honor and dueling to sort of bolster themselves up so that they could prove that they were as worthwhile and had as much merit as the people who won the election. So they're really deliberately provoking duels with each other to redeem their reputations and keep themselves in the circle of political power. It's an amazing thing once you understand the process. There are a number of code words that they would use to deliberately provoke someone into a duel. You insult someone in this particular way, and basically them's dueling words. You're in trouble if you call someone one of those insults. My favorite is puppy. Hardly seems like a harsh insult, but if you call someone a puppy, you're dead. You're going to be out on a dueling ground with a gun in the very near future. Other ones are a little less dramatic: scoundrel, rascal, and the worst of all possible insults, liar. If you call someone a liar, basically that's almost as good as a challenge. Interestingly enough, in this political population, there was one extra insult that non-political duelists, like Southern duelists, also did not like to be called puppies. But there was one extra insult that national politicians could not abide, and that was self-interested politician. You call someone a self-interested politician, and that's a good way to provoke a duel, and it happened all the time. Let's say I wanted to provoke a duel with someone, I would say to Mr. Smith, you are a self-interested politician. And Mr. Smith has only one possible response: you're lying. At which case I get to challenge him to a duel and do what I wanted to accomplish, redeem my reputation, have a nice little affair of honor. Which brings me actually to an important point about these duels. One would always assume, of course, I assumed before this project, that the purpose of a duel is to kill. I mean, why else would you be standing 10 paces away from someone pointing a gun at him and having a gun pointed at you? But actually, the point of a duel was to risk your life in the name of your honor. Killing had nothing to do with it, and as a matter of fact, if you killed, that made you very vulnerable. That made you seem as though you were a bloodthirsty, evil, murderous fiend of a killer. So if you look at all the duels in the period among politicians, the ones who kill usually end up in dire shape, and Aaron Burr is maybe the best example of this. He's basically on the lam after he kills Hamilton, and his career sort of never quite recovers from his duel with Hamilton. So basically, duels are ways really to redeem your reputation. There's a whole code and there are words that appear all the time in congressional debate that people just haven't tracked that makes congressional debate look very different.